Goal is to bring you somebody in power that's had the experience of doing something extraordinary. And today I have a guy that I've been following for a long time, Ryan Serhant. Not his original name, but we'll go into that in a little bit. He's asked me not to, but I have to because I'm just fascinated with it. And he's just written a book, Sell It Like Ryan, right?
Yes, Sell It Like Serhant, yep.
Yeah, Sell It Like Serhant. And you're on the TV show
$1 Million Listing, New York.
In case you guys aren't watching it.
Yeah, and Sell It Like Serhant on Bravo.
Appreciate you being here.
Thanks.
Okay, great to have you. You've sold how much in real estate? What do you think you're responsible for?
Total, I don't know. We did just over $830 million last year.
Wow.
The year before, I think we did something like 640 or something like that. The year before was 500 something.
So big increases.
10 years ago. Yeah.
10 years and almost doing $1 billion a year.
Yeah. Yeah. Brokering.
Yeah.
Brokering.
Yeah.
Very different from
so what does that mean? What does
that
mean so the audience understands brokering?
So we're real estate brokers, so residential real estate brokers, and we take commissions on everything that we sell. So, that 838 is made up of a lot of $1 million deals, $2 million deals, a handful of 20, 30, and $40 million deals. And so that's the gross sales number. I think gross commission last year was like 21 or 22 million.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's all, and that's why you're sitting in that chair, man.
Right.
So how does a guy, before we go back to, how you became who you are today,
Sure.
How does a guy step into a business that's extremely competitive?
Yep.
Because most of the audience is watching this, they're in the same space. And
Sure.
maybe not real estate, but it's competitive. How does a guy 10 years ago step into New York, real estate business,
Yeah.
highly competitive, and produce at these kind of levels in that short a period of time?
I mean, the barrier of entry for sales is like down in the floor.
Yeah.
Like that's what's so great about it. That's also what's so scary about it. But if it wasn't so easy to get into the business, I never would have gotten into it. If in order to become a salesperson or become a real estate broker, if I had to go to school for 4 years and take on a lot of debt, I probably wouldn't have done it. Mm-hmm. But it was, I think at the time, 50 or 60 hours in a class, a couple $100, and you become a licensed associate salesperson in New York City. And you could advise people on $1 billion deals. If you could find somebody that wants to do that, if you know what you're talking about. So you start from the bottom. There's 80,000 of us, I think, in the city now.
Just in New York?
Yeah, there's a lot.
Wow.
And you start at the bottom. So you do rentals, right? And I got into the business purely just to pay my own rent. Mm-hmm. That's the whole reason I did it, was because I didn't want to be a bartender. I didn't want to be a waiter. I wanted to make my own hours, not be stuck to a desk. And so I'd post ads on Craigslist. I'd meet people, and then I'd go show them other apartments, and hopefully they'd take one. And that was my sales boot camp, was meeting crazy New Yorkers on the street and showing them apartments that I didn't know where they were. And I learned the city at the same time because I'm not from New York. I didn't know anybody. And those are my first clients, and just sort of built up and built up and built up from there.
So your first deal was what? Do you remember?
It was a lease? It was $1,100 a month. Oh, they were all leases.
Uh-huh.
All my first deals for the first couple of years were $1,100 a month in Koreatown, right? And so that's $1,100 a month. The commission would be 1 month's rent. I would split it 50-50 with the house. So I would be
$550.
$550, which for me at the time was like models and bottle money, right?
Yeah,
it was huge.
Yeah.
Because I had spent the first couple of years in the city making no money whatsoever.
You can get a model for $550?
I thought so at the time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I thought so at the time. But any amount of money that I could make in that, in 2008, 2009 was a lot of money to me.
Yeah.
Because I credit a lot of that to my success today, that I had no other understanding of money, no other understanding of wealth or bills or responsibility. Like every couple $100 I made meant a shitload to me.
Yeah.
Right. And so every time I would compound that and compound that and compound that, I just wanted more and more and more. And it was just a matter of my time. So just how much time was I willing to put in? How much time was I willing to not take off? And then I could pass everybody else just purely by working harder.
So who were you before this and before $1 Million Listing? Like, tell me about how you grew up, where you grew up, and what the circumstances like.
I was born in Texas, in Houston.
Okay.
Grew up
what part
of
of
Texas? Kingswood.
Okay.
Yeah, outside Texas.
Yeah.
Grew up there and moved to Long Island for a little bit, and then really moved to outside Boston. So I grew up outside Boston.
Go Red Sox.
Yeah. So they just won. I grew up outside Boston, and I did like English and theater were my things, right? And I went to college in upstate New York, and I wanted to do theater. That was always kind of what my passion was, what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an actor, and that's what brought me to New York City when I graduated. I took the LSAT because I thought I had to go to law school like every other liberal arts, graduate, and I bombed that, so that didn't work out. And then I tried to be an actor, could make no money. It didn't work out. I got into a soap opera for a short period of time, and then I got killed off.
Yeah.
And then I ran out of money. I was like, what do I do? Do I move home to Colorado because my parents had moved by then? Or do I stay in New York and try to figure it out? And that's when a friend said, listen, get your real estate license, rent apartments, it'll at least buy you time. And my rent was like $1,000 a month, for a studio on 31st Street in Broadway, sharing a bathroom with a lot of people. And it was the worst, but it kept me in New York City. And that's what I did.
So when did you lose the Texas accent?
I never really had one because my parents aren't from Texas, but we lived there. My sisters who are still there, they have accents, but I never really had one. And because then we went to Long Island where there's a strong accent, and then we went to Boston where there's a strong accent. So I think that the accents never really stuck to me.
Yeah, and you went with who? When you went?
With my parents. My parents and my little brother.
And why were they going there?
For work.
Okay.
Yeah, for my dad's job, which bounced around a little bit.
And he was doing what?
Finance. My whole family does finance, every single one of them.
What does that mean, finance?
They're all in investment banking.
Okay.
Yeah.
They make a lot of money in that space?
I think so. Yeah, they do okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean you think so?
I mean, I had a comfortable life.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. You grew up middle class, upper middle class?
Yeah, we grew up nice. We had nice houses. I had nice things. I never had to deal with student debt, like we grew up well. And so I think but we always had to work. Like my little brother and I always had to do manual labor for our jobs. It sucked. It was the worst. I resented it, fully. But I also credit it at the same time, now. Like I'm very, very thankful that I had to work in construction and do roofs for years and years and years because I never want to do that again. And I will work my ass off every day to keep me off of roofs.
So did your dad instill this, hey, you got to work?
Yes, 100%.
That came from him or your mom?
No, my dad, for sure.
And what was he telling you as a kid?
That's, there's a lot of things you can't control, but how hard you work isn't one of them.
Oh, wow.
And
like that.
Everybody else can be taller, bigger, smarter, faster, come from different families, come with money, go to better schools, but you can always show up earlier. You can always show up later. So like when I first got to New York and I wanted to be an actor, I lived with two roommates. One was, they were both paralegals because they both wanted to be lawyers. And my dad told me, and I remember, he's like, listen, you don't have a job. You don't have any boss telling you what to do. They do. You're going to wake up before they do and go to bed after they do. You're going to work harder than they do. And that's at least how you're going to know whether this is going to work or not. Because the last thing you want to do is just show up and wait for the phone to ring. And that really kind of rang true to me. And he also taught me that everything that I do is a choice. So the waking up, the working out, the making the calls, the doing the follow-up, the emails, like picking yourself up after you get knocked down, like it's all a choice that you make. And that makes this job very, very freeing versus kind of being as depressing as it can be for a lot of people.
You mean the job now, the real estate? Yeah. So when you took when you went to acting and then said, hey, this isn't going to work out.
Yeah.
Was it because of the money, the opportunity?
The money, for sure. It's the money, but also the happiness. Like there's a correlation between the two. Like I wish upon no one to be dead broke in New York City.
Yeah.
Like it's terrifying. Like
there's a lot of people that are dead broke in New York City, right?
And not knowing how you're going to pay your bills that month, not knowing like what am I going to do if I don't hit rent, getting your credit card declined, like all that stuff was very, very humbling for me. And I'm glad it happened to me when I was really young, right? When I was 22, 23. But at the same time, it really teaches you that no matter what your passion is, your passion also has to be able to pay the bills. So I wanted to be an actor, but I also wasn't willing to be homeless for it. And I didn't want to move home and make some money because I never would come back, right? That's the thing. Like once I got to New York, I knew I had to figure out a way to stay there because I never would come back. And so that was a big deal for me.
So how do you make the transition from starving actor, to getting shot on a soap?
Yeah.
How were you killed off in the soap?
I kind of slightly killed myself with a syringe to the chest, waiting on the top of a hospital. I think it's on YouTube. If you YouTube Ryan Serhant and As the World Turns, I was waiting on the hospital because I played Dr. Evan Walsh IV, and I was waiting for a helicopter to take me to the Caribbean where I could do my research in peace. Yeah, that's how I went.
And so it was suicide.
Well, sort of. It was me like fighting with my grandmother, and she kind of wrestled, and the syringe went into my chest, and it was like, oh, and I died.
So when you were doing that, dude, what were you thinking? Like doing that?
My life's over. Well, when the soap started.
Yeah,
like I made it.
Really? Huh?
Yeah, man. Like you.
What were they paying you for that soap at that time?
$844 an episode. Yeah. And so that was big, right? And then I had to learn about taxes and what taxes are and what FICA is.
Yeah.
And then I remember calling my dad being like, what happened to all my money? Where'd my money go?
Yeah.
Where's my check? And
He's
he was
like, grow up, son.
Yeah, and he's like, this is what I was angry about all the time. I'm like, oh, now I get it. So sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, that was an adult moment for me for sure. But when I was on the soap, like that's because I've been doing free theater. Like I played a clock, like I did stuff like in Union Square, like you do everything you can. You stand in line for 20 hours just to be seen for an audition, and you're dead tired, and then they close the door. Like it's very, 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 it's not rewarding.
Yeah.
For a
So
long
what do
time.
you say? Because that reminds me of the real estate agent that complains about the open house. I had to sit here all day and wait.
Yeah.
And then you described the acting, because my wife's an actor.
Yeah.
So I understand, like, she waits in an audition.
Yeah.
For a supposedly her mock-up.
Yeah, sure.
And then they decide on somebody completely different.
Yeah.
Shorter, taller, whatever, right? So how do you tell a real estate agent that's complaining about the open house about the 20-hour standing in line for a maybe part?
Yeah, it's all a numbers game, right? And that's a big thing for me. Like, how do you have as many balls in the air as possible so it's okay when certain ones drop, because they just will by default. And that's what the whole book is about. And that's kind of how I built my real estate business, because, in the acting business, like, you don't get that part because of your face, right? And because you're prematurely gray or whatever the issue might be, or because you suck reading the lines.
Right.
In real estate, the one thing I loved immediately, which other people really hate, is that the rejection was never because of my face. Like, someone didn't take an apartment because I was too tall.
Right.
They didn't take it because they didn't want it, or because they suck. I don't know. And so I never took it personally, and so it was always just that numbers game.
It was about whether it was the right product or the right pricing,
which was awesome for me. And I think those 2 years trying to act and having being rejected over and over and over so personally is what built up that thick skin in me, so that where like the 84% of real estate agents who quit in New York City in their first year because they can't handle that rejection. For me, I didn't have that. I got rejected all the time. Don't get me wrong. Like, in my mind, I was quitting all the time because it just was brutal. But it wasn't because of my ears. Like, it wasn't because of the way I looked on camera. It was because
this was something you could control finally.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, right? There's a lot of stuff in real estate you can't control either.
Yeah.
Like bankers, attorneys, what the mother-in-law is going to say, what the wife says when she walks in and she doesn't like the paint color. Like, that stuff you can't control, but at least I can anticipate it and work with it. Whereas in the acting business, it was completely out of my control. But in that time, in waiting in those lines, and you wait and wait and wait and wait and wait, I tried to be as resourceful as possible. So I would try to meet all the other actors in line, right? And I'd try to make other friends. Maybe there's other things that I could do with that time and with those relationships more than just waiting for my turn. And same thing with open houses. Like, you try to use that time as much as you can, whether it's calling other agents who have similar other open houses to see how their traffic is, get to know them. You do other work on your phone, you come prepared. And then, if there are 50 people who show up, then you do that stuff afterwards.
So how does this thing come full house for you? Like, I mean, it seems like you had this entrepreneur thing, even as an actor, and then you get the entrepreneur thing handled a little bit in real estate, but you go back to the acting. I mean, it's like a full circle.
Yeah, it's
for you.
Weird.
You're on TV all the time.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of people say that to me, and they're like, you have the best of both worlds, because you wanted to be on TV and then you weren't, and then you got into real estate, but now you're also on TV doing real estate. And I think it's like, what is that line? About luck. Like, luck is when opportunity meets preparation.
Yeah, right.
Which you never really believe until it actually happens.
Yeah.
Like, I prepared my whole life to be in front of a camera, and I thought it was going to work one way, and it did not work that way. And then this opportunity came up when $1 Million Listing Los Angeles decided to do a New York franchise in 2010. They put out a casting call, and I saw it because it was in the real estate newspapers. And I'd totally given up on acting 2 years prior. And I saw that and was like, wait a minute, I was on a soap, man. I've done stuff before. I'll go to that.
Yeah.
And they were like, are you the greatest real estate agent under the age of 30? And I'm like, fuck yes, I am. And just sold myself.
That was the question, huh?
Yeah, basically.
Did you do that in person, or did you do it over
person
Skype?
At first? It was like a 30-second in-person interview, and then it was a bunch of emails and follow-up, and it was like a 6-month audition process.
Oh, wow.
But I knew how to handle myself in front of the camera, and now I actually did real estate, and so I think that helped whittle it down so that when they cast me on the show, then I just had to really step up to the plate of being the greatest real estate agent ever, and that really put a gun to my head to go out and make more phone calls, talk to more people on the street, follow up with more people, because the last thing I want to do is fail on television as a real estate broker.
So you're making that claim, I am the greatest real estate agent.
That's my affirmation. I did it publicly, to everyone in the
yeah.
world, and I also did it in my own head. Like, who's to stop me? Like, no one will ever tell me to stop selling, right? No one will ever tell me that I sold too much. So if I wake up every single day and say I'm the greatest real estate broker ever, it might not be true today, but it will be true eventually.
So how important is that affirmation? Like just talk about for
Massively.
you.
Yeah,
What people are saying to themselves every
the
day.
power of positivity, the power of yes, right? Say yes and figure it out later. Stay positive. And, I always kind of look at it like you're driving in a car, right? And there are two types of people. One person looks out the right window where it's sunny. The other person looks out the left window where it's cloudy. And you both made the same choice to look out a window. One just decides to see a different type of weather. And for me, it's always been like, okay, so it's my choice to wake up upset. Bad things can happen. It's okay to get pissed off, right? And it always happen, and balls will always fall. But it is your choice to wake up positively or negatively. And so I've always just made the choice, even if I'm gritting it and I hate it, and I really want to be pissed off, and I want people to comfort me, and I want to feel bad. That's not a choice I'm willing to make because I know it's going to affect my day, and no one wants to buy anything from someone who's pissed off. Right? They want to buy something from someone who's enthusiastic because that's what you sell. You sell enthusiasm every day. And that enthusiasm and that positivity, like that has been a huge, huge boon for me.
So you said the affirmation you made publicly.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people know that they need to be positive within themselves. But you said, hey, when I make that public on the millionaire listings and say, I am the greatest.
Yeah.
What is the power of you publicizing your decisions?
I mean, it's the power of massive stress, right? And I always do that to myself. Like I put a big roadblock up in front of me, whether it's that I went on TV and said, I'm the greatest real estate broker ever. Now I have to live up to it.
Yeah, right.
Or I just bought something I can't afford, or I just expanded my team and I don't know how to handle it. It's always important for me to create my own challenges so that I can then figure it out and then get to the next place. Right? Otherwise, I'm just stuck and okay with the status quo. So by doing that and making it really public, and I do that now with the vlog and putting it out there on YouTube, which is a totally different audience for me that I've never had, a much, much younger audience. It's a way for me to kind of hold myself accountable. Like otherwise, you can say whatever you want to yourself in the mirror or in the shower, but unless you put it out there and you hold yourself accountable and kind of maybe feel like the threat of embarrassment coming because you're not going to hit your mark, like then what good is it?
The public will hold you accountable.
Oh, for sure.
I left the World Series game 3.
I was like, I knew it was coming out here, and I see all these images of your wife, the 10X hat, and you're like, who is this woman? And I see you next to her, and I was like, oh, that's great.
Yeah. So I left at the 16th inning.
Yeah.
At the bottom of the 16th, it went 18.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was on a 3-hour clock, so it was 3:30 in the morning for me. And I told my wife, I said, let's go now, it's time. She's like, but it's going to go longer, and their TV's why, and we're on TV, and I'm like, everybody's going to sleep, okay?
Yeah.
So whatever we came to get here, we got already. I said, I need to go home now. So many people ragged on me for leaving early. They're like, why'd you leave early? You're the 10X man. You can't leave early. I said, well, I did that night.
Yeah.
So, do you think that has helped you multiply your business, being on TV, being out there, telling the public who you are and what you're going to stand up for?
Yeah, success begets success. People will only hire you based on what you're known for. So if I'm not out there telling people over and over, whether it's on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or because I got really, really lucky on a national television show, then no one's going to know what I stand for, especially when you're in sales, whether you're selling anything. You're selling classes, you're selling tires, you're selling real estate. So it's always important for me to put out there over and over that I'm a salesperson, this is what I sell, because that way people will know it.
Yeah, and a lot of real estate agents, they don't even use the word sales. Like,
yeah, it's weird.
I can be with them 40, 45 minutes and like never hear the word come out. I'm not a sale. They actually say, I'm not here to sell you.
Right, which is...
But you've used that word over and over today.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, though, that the biggest mistake most salespeople make is actively trying to sell. Like that's like watching a pot, right? A watched pot never boils. And so it's important to not focus on the sale. But it's a different conversation. I talk about sales all the time because that is what I do. Like I'm not romanticizing it. I'm not a real estate vice president or a real estate expert or a real estate broker. Like I'm a salesperson. That is how I make an income.
Right.
That is what my 1099 depicts. Did I sell something or did I not? And I think once you own that, then you will sell more and you will make more.
So, and you say like, if I come look at a condo, what's the most expensive deal you've done?
Oh man, I don't know, we sell entire buildings. So this year,
Like-
the most expensive single family,
Yeah.
sold a 3-bedroom apartment for $31 million.
Yeah. So when that person walked in,
Yeah.
you have an image of them right now?
Yeah. Well, I found him the place, so he was my buyer. But yeah.
Okay. So you went and
Yeah.
they didn't just walk in. Do you call them up and say, I got the place for you?
Yeah. And his budget was like 10 to 20, so he spent a lot more than he wanted
That's
to.
very interesting.
Right. But
Now, why did you show him 31 if his budget was 10?
Because I knew he said his budget was 10 to 20. Because I saw he was searching
big
online
spread,
for his
by the
own
way.
stuff. Yeah. But I knew he could afford it, right? And I knew too that he had a certain taste and he had a certain style. And so I didn't just take him to something that was $40 million.
Yeah.
I showed him other things. I definitely showed him all the things in his price range, and I saw that he didn't like them. And he wanted to stay in a price point. And I said, listen, I've got one thing that's going to knock your socks off.
Yeah.
And that's that wow moment,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Showed him something for $40 million. And he was like,
Did he know how much it was going to be before he got there?
I told him this thing. And I was like, listen, don't be pissed off. I'm going to show it to you. It's 40.
Yeah, yeah.
And after he really liked it, he's like, this is crazy. Let me know when they can get it to 20. And I said, listen, it's never going to get to 20.
Yeah.
What if I got it to you for like 30, 31? And all of a sudden, that's like a $9-10 million discount. Real estate market's funky.
Yeah.
And in his head, he's like,
Move to maybe.
well, that's a really good deal versus getting something, if looking at 20, getting it for 18.
Yeah.
I'd take 40 at 31. It's a relative discount, and everyone is a discount buyer, especially right now. And so then we just worked on the deal, and it was just about the deal.
So how important is it, because you just hit on something on the numbers that I think a lot of salespeople miss, is when you took the guy, like he's trying to practicalize
Sure.
his own close.
Yes.
And you did something that I find fascinating, okay, which is, look, 20 to 18 sounds good, 40 to 31 sounds
Always.
even better.
Yes.
So how often are you doing that with a buyer or even a seller?
It's something, I call it the wow moment, and I put it in the book because it really works. It's the psychology of the deal. And it happened to me. That's how I learned about it when someone sold me a pair of shoes that I didn't think I could afford, but I was like, wow, these shoes are awesome. And in that building, because I bought it in a building that's very expensive on Park Avenue, the $40 million apartment was mid-tier. Like he saw too that people were spending, $75 to $100 million just for an apartment. And so it's not like I showed him the most expensive thing, but I showed him what was the best deal that blew away everything else that he was seeing. And that was a wow moment. And I didn't push him. At that point, I was like, all right, now let's go back to what you were looking at.
Yeah, right.
And it was, listen, don't get me wrong, a $20 million apartment is really, really, really nice. But compared to what he just saw, it wasn't as nice.
It's crumbs.
Yeah,
It's
it wasn't
crumbs.
as nice. And listen, you do the same thing whether you're selling something $100 versus $200.
Yeah, so
It's all the
inventory.
same.
Let's talk about the inventory, because I talk a lot about moving people in inventory. Don't stay on one thing.
Sure.
Move them around.
Always.
How much of that? Always. I love a good salesman.
Always.
God dang. I never get guys in here. I get guys that know how to run a business, have big businesses, make a lot of money, but nobody really ever understands selling.
Yeah, the
So I'm glad you
psychology of
did this
selling.
for real estate agents, because
no problem.
they need it, dude.
Yes.
Because most real estate agents, I said this before, most of them suck as salespeople.
Yeah.
You agree with that
Yeah,
statement?
most of them. Listen, most salespeople. The problem is like, think about an athlete, right? You were at the baseball game, right?
Yeah.
Like those guys train their entire life, off season,
Right,
everything, right? They're training, practice, so that they get that one time at bat to show them what's up. Salespeople, they go to school for a couple hours, maybe. And then all of a sudden they're salespeople and they're up at bat. There's a mental breakdown there. Like, why don't more salespeople actually do training?
Yeah.
And whether it's reading this book, reading your book, like doing the trainings to learn that there's an athleticism to it. There's a skill. And it's not about like swindling people. It's not about taking. It's not about convincing. Selling is 100% just about assuring, right? For me, it's always been
love
about
that, man.
assuring somebody of the choice that they were going to make anyway, or of a choice that's better. They just didn't even know it existed. And that's the inventory conversation.
Yeah.
So that's showing people different things. So for that guy, he really, really, really wanted to be on Fifth Avenue. And I know this is so relatively crazy because the world I live in is so whacked with regards to pricing and location, but it's someone really wants to be on one street. And I forced myself and him to go to a couple different streets. He didn't want to. But once he saw what was on the other street and what the relative value was, he was like, well, I wasn't even thinking about this before, and if the deal makes sense, and then all of a sudden those wheels are ticking, and then that's what you can start working with.
Yeah. And to me, like, you're helping him shop through.
Yeah.
Because I think people close on logic.
Yeah.
I believe people close logically, they buy emotionally.
100%.
But
100%.
there's got to be logic.
Yeah.
There's got to be something to support my emotions.
Listen, something I'd say to
Particularly
everybody,
with people that kind of money.
Yeah,
Because they didn't get there by being just emotional.
No, of course not. They all work incredibly hard. And what I tell
Yeah.
people all the time is I cannot negotiate with someone's wallet, but I can negotiate with their feelings. Right? So people buy with that heart. Like like I knew that he had money.
Yeah.
He could afford something, whether he wanted to spend it or not.
Right.
But I'm not going to show a $20 million place to a guy that has $1 million in the bank. So I'm not going to waste my time. Like I can't negotiate with how much money he makes.
Right,
I can't
right,
negotiate
right.
with
I
what
love
he
that.
can get approved for. But I can negotiate with the fact that he's going to fall in love with this place because it's going to make him feel like a better person. And that's going to be good for his life. It's not me doing anything else other than saying, with this home or with this product, you're going to wake up feeling better. You might be freaked out for a moment, but you're going to wake up feeling better. You're going to be more excited. You're going to work harder to work for it because I do the same thing. Like I just bought a house that scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, how much?
8
million.
Yeah, for my own house, right? With my wife, and we're going to renovate it, and we're going to be in it for $10 million. And I'm 34, and I was a hand model 10 years ago.
Dude. Congratulations.
Thanks.
You know,
And so,
34 years old.
But I did that for myself
Yeah.
because it freaked me out.
Yeah.
And I wanted it because now I'm going to work harder.
Yeah,
Like
you
this year, I've worked my
financed
ass
it.
off.
You financed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 30 years. So you got 30-year commitment to that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get out of it before, but you know, it's you set that kind of gun to your head, and that's that's what $1 Million Listing did for me, right? That more than anything was a psychological shotgun to the face that said, you better be the greatest real estate broker in the world. You better soak up all of your potential, otherwise the whole world is going to know you suck.
Yeah,
And there's nothing better than fear of failure to ignite that initiative taking that we all have inside of us. And I really
So would
believe
you
that.
recommend that everybody get on TV?
Yes.
They get a TV show?
Yes. You know what? Yes.
I want a TV show.
Yeah,
Why
you
don't I
should.
have one?
You do. I'm on it right now.
Oh.
Listen, everybody, more than anything, no one under the age of 30 has cable anymore. Like my vlogger, Adam, right here, doesn't even know what cable TV is, right? He called it Cabell. And so everybody can get a phone. Everyone can get a phone, can get a small camera, and can make their own TV show on YouTube. And their generation is going to watch it, or the younger generation that's going to be buying things. And the fact that more people aren't doing that blows my mind.
And it doesn't really matter if the show sucks, right?
No, you grow over time. I mean, the vlog for me that we have now is not the same vlog that it was at the beginning of the year. You learn from feedback, you change, you adapt. And that's what's so great about doing it on your own. Like you can change, like it's okay.
And the show I could shoot today can get shot a little faster than $1 Million Listing, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Like how long do you spend on
9
a
months.
shoot? 9 months.
It takes 9 months to make one season. Yeah,
Dude, that's crazy, dude.
it takes a while. Well, because they follow the property, they follow the deals. Like my vlog doesn't follow deals, so they.
But how do you get any work done, bro?
Well, because it's my actual job. It works out pretty well, and I've done it now for 8 years. So, you know, I know that I'm going to have an open house for a listing that we're actually selling, and so they show up and follow it. And then the deal dies, and they're right there, and they watch the pain and anguish. So it works.
Biggest disappointment you've had on a deal?
On a deal?
Yeah. Do you remember a deal that just went sideways? And I remember them all, man.
Yeah, I mean, they're all so painful. You know,
I mean, the big one, though. The big one that you were counting on, dude, it was going to be like, okay, that's the one.
Yeah, I would say a building that I lost, a building actually that I got fired from, right? That was the worst one because that
You
was
just
one,
connected with a lot of people, by the way.
like getting fired is the worst. I was on a building, it was the biggest building ever. It was 442 apartments that I had to sell, which when you're just a regular real estate agent trying to sell a handful of homes a year to all of a sudden be given an entire building, like you start thinking about like, oh, wow, that's almost like guaranteed pay, guaranteed sales, and they will sell because you know the developer has to sell them. The developer's not going to just sit there with apartments and not sell them, so they will sell. And getting fired from that was the worst because all of a sudden that was like I had this nugget, this golden nugget, and they fired me and they gave it to somebody else, and I'm still getting revenge for it.
Why did they fire you?
It was a host of things. It was that I was too young, right? That was one part of it, and
That's discriminatory. I mean,
Yeah.
you can be sued for that.
not as real estate agents. No one cares, man.
No, right.
It's part that I was young. It was part that I wasn't supposed to. I was supposed to be there 7 days a week, and that was super hard for me. And they wanted a bigger, more experienced broker, amongst other things.
And how are you getting revenge?
I go after every other building in the history of the world to try to get them to show those developers what they've missed.
Yeah. And how much of that drives you?
A lot.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I listen, I'm driven by.
I mean, revenge is a pretty like effect thing, right?
Yeah, it's.
But I mean, I know I can relate to you
sure.
to this. Like, I like to get even.
Yeah,
or ahead.
It's you know, I think we all ride this equal balance between like confidence and fear, right? And like you can't be too confident or you're an asshole. And you can't be too afraid, otherwise you'll never get out of bed in the morning. And so for me, it's about trying to find that balance on that seesaw. Like, how can I be as confident as possible, but also realizing like what's at stake? And what's at stake is being broke, is not having the opportunities that I have today, and waking up every day and remembering what it was like to be broke in New York City in 2008 and never going back there ever again for the rest of my life. That's what drives me.
Yeah, yeah. And so the with the other brokers, like where you rank with the other brokers in the market, how much of that is?
That's a lot too. I mean, listen, it's I would be lying if I said it didn't play into it. Like, our numbers are important, right? I want to sell as much as possible. I want the biggest team possible so that our numbers are as big as they can, because once you hit the top, you only have down to go, right? And we were number one last year. I have no idea where we'll be this year. I hope we're at the same point, hopefully. It's been a weird year. New York City real estate is tough. There's been a massive correction in New York, which the rest of the country is going to start to feel slowly. Like, I see cracks now. Everywhere I go this year, compared to the last couple of years when it's been a seller's market insanity, I start hearing people saying it's starting to slow down. It's weird. What's it like in New York? I'm like, in New York, the average days on market is 260.
Wow.
Right? Over 4 million, the average days on market is 450. So that
say that last
slow.
part again. The 450.
Over $4 million.
Yeah.
Any listing over 4 million, which is a lot.
A year and
the
a half,
average days on market is well over a year.
Wow.
You know, and that is a
Is that because they're
statistic.
overpriced? There's not buyers there?
Overpriced, and it's oversupply. There's more supply in the market to handle buyers for 5 years in New York.
Wow.
So it's New York is one of those
because
cities
of all
where it
the
goes up and then goes down. It goes up and goes down.
Yeah.
Because of all the building. It's the building. It's also people moving out. Taxes have played a role in it as well. You know, the SALT deduction has been a pain in the ass. Everyone's coming here. Everyone's coming here or going to Texas.
That's why I buy apartments here.
Yeah. They're coming here or going to Texas.
That's right.
Yeah.
So are you seeing the migration? Are y'all feeling it?
Yeah, of course we are.
Yeah, and people are
selling a lot of apartments for people that have picked up and moved to Florida, moved to Austin.
Listen. I've been saying this.
Yeah.
The migration is happening, man.
Yeah, it works. But listen, there's no other place like New York. So if you have to be in New York, you want to be in New York. You know, and New York is a place where appreciation is bar none. You know, so you can still buy something for $1 million in a couple of years. It might be worth $2 million, and you didn't have to do anything to it. It's hard to do that in other places.
So what do you tell your team during these periods of oversupply, buyer's market? Like, how do you keep them focused and making enough money to stay in the deal?
Well, we like volatility, like brokers, right? We're agents. So we want to make money on the way down and we want to make money on the way up. But it's, you know, in either of those markets, someone's really difficult. If it's a buyer's market, the buyer is difficult because they're saying, no, it's going down. I don't want to buy today. I don't want to buy today. In a seller's market, the seller's like, no, I'm not taking that low offer. I'm not even taking the asking price offer. I want higher. But we like the volatility because at that point, both sides are willing to do deals. So I tell the team just to stay strong, keep your head down, and start dialogues. There's nothing worse than you can do than not start a dialogue with somebody. You should never let a person leave the room unless they've made some kind of offer, even if it's $10. Like, what would you pay for this? It's asking $2 million. Would you pay $1 million for it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but no one's ever they're not gonna take it for $1 million. All
That's
right, let me see. Right?
Yeah.
I'll give you a counter, 1.9. All right, now we're bridging the gap.
Right.
All of a sudden, and they didn't even know they wanted to buy it. But because they started at 50% off and that was so ridiculous, now at least you have a conversation that you've started.
So would you write that guy and say, hey, let's put it on paper, even if it's ridiculous?
You can, right? But I think that, you know, no matter what market you're selling in, just starting that price conversation gets people psychologically motivated to actually eventually spend the money, you know, and that goes a long way. Even in markets where you have to write offers and do, you know, good faith deposits, it doesn't stop you from picking up the phone and talking to the other side or talking to the seller or talking to the buyer and saying, listen, we're thinking about writing an offer, but would this price even get us close? Where would you come to? And just having that conversation keeps people excited. You want to set expectations and get people into the game.
Yeah, and the buyer sees you working for them.
Yeah.
Try and give
Other than just being somebody who's showing them things that they already saw on the internet.
Yeah. Hey, look, I know when I moved to Miami, we moved from LA to Miami. I knew every house in the market.
Yeah.
I knew whether it was facing north, south, east. Like, I could almost feel the breeze before I got here. And then I had somebody show me stuff.
Right.
And they're like, I said, have you been in that house? No. Which way is it face? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, is it a good deal? I don't know.
Yeah, product knowledge is key.
How important is it?
It's super important. simply put, you have to know your shit. Otherwise, why would anyone buy anything from you?
Right.
Like as salespeople, our ability is not just in talking to the client after about the product, but it's knowing the product. Like I always say, like you walk into an Apple store and you like talking to all of those people there because they know everything about that damn phone.
The genius.
Yeah, right. Would you go into a gym and pick a personal trainer that's super out of weight, huffing and puffing?
I've seen people do it.
Yeah, like you can.
Yeah,
or you
yeah.
can go with the person who looks like they know what they're doing because they take care of themselves. And you'd say, well, that guy clearly knows what he's doing, or that girl knows what she's doing. So I want to work out with them because they're going to be the best use of my hard-earned money. Same thing for salespeople.
So you talk about appearance, okay? I like that because you came in dressed today, you know?
Sure.
In a time where T-shirts, like when somebody makes it now, it seems like the thing they do is they go to T-shirts.
Yeah, I guess I haven't made it yet. I don't know.
Yeah. But you came in dressed. I really respect that, by the way.
No problem.
And so how important is appearance?
Listen, my appearance has nothing to do with me. I'm not wearing a suit and tie because of me. I'm doing it for you. And I'm doing it for my clients.
You shouldn't have.
Yeah, you're welcome. Right? I do it, honestly, it's out of respect for the person in front of me. Because
interesting.
At the end of the day, I'm just a salesperson.
Yeah.
Like, I'm bringing a service to other people. So it's a show of respect that you wake up and you dress nicely for somebody else. You may think you're the shit because you can wear a T-shirt and show up. And if that works for you, like, who am I to say that it shouldn't work for you?
Right.
But it's also kind of a sign of disrespect that you don't care enough to fucking iron your shirt.
Yeah.
You know, like that stuff just pisses me off. I don't know. Maybe it's old school, but at the end of the day.
Well, you're not old enough to be old school, dude.
Yeah.
How old are you?
34.
Yeah, so you can't even use the old school thing.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, like it's like first impressions are everything for me. And if you are not careful, your first impression is also your last impression.
What do you do when the first impression is not good? I'm sure you've had something where, you know, particularly in the TV space.
Yeah.
Right?
Try to fix it.
But so you can, right?
You can.
Have you turned around bad first impressions?
Of myself?
No, of others to you.
Oh, sure. I mean, yeah.
Because I always got confused about the first impression thing because I'm like, does that mean that like I'm out now because I didn't make a good first impression? Because most of the time I don't.
I think I try to. I think I try to apologize when I know that I've made a bad first impression, or at least try to show that I am worth something. Like I have someone of value, and this is what I can provide to you. But unfortunately, a lot of times you don't know that you've given a bad first impression. Like you don't know.
Yeah.
You know, unless someone says it to your face, you just never hear from that person ever again. You don't know why. It's probably because you had a bad first impression, and then it became your last impression.
Right.
Like, and that sucks.
Yeah. I know when I make like, oh, he doesn't like me, or maybe I'm just being sensitive and they do like me, but you know.
Yeah, maybe.
So, are you sensitive? Are you a sensitive?
Probably. I think so. I'm a Cancer. I was born in July. Yeah. I want everyone to like me just like everybody else.
Yeah. You want them to like you or buy from you?
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah, both. But listen, if they don't buy from me now, but they like me, they will buy from me or refer me sometime in the future, and I'm not going anywhere.
So last thing, and I want to talk about the book and where people can get it. It's on Amazon, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Everywhere books can be, I think. Yeah.
It's right here in Miami right now.
Yeah.
Where do you want people to go to get it? Amazon? Or
you can go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, find it on selliteleserhant.com, Audible, ebooks, like it's everywhere.
Did you read the book? Did you read it yourself?
Yeah, of course.
Dude, what do you mean, of course? Most people don't read it.
Really?
No, most people have somebody else read it.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
No, it's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's my whole life. Like, it's everything
that
I've ever known about selling and how to structure your day. Like, little stuff that I haven't found on my own about, like, what to do when you wake up. You know, how to really be your own boss, how to be your own CFO, your own COO. Like, all the little minutia down to the bigger picture too. And it's funny. Yeah, like my life has been a series of funny, unfortunate events.
It seems like it's pretty fortunate, and we're meeting, we're spending time together, you know?
Yeah, now.
So how do you start your day? I get to ask this question all the time. I don't know why people are so hung up on this big question.
Yeah.
Monday through
Friday, I wake up, depending on the day, I wake up between 4:30 and 5.
Okay.
I answer emails from the night before, or I fire off emails that are going to start the day. That way, when people wake up an hour, 2 hours later, they already know that I beat them, right? That's important. And then I go to the gym, and I work out for an hour 15, come back, shower, say goodbye to my wife, head off to appointments for my entire day. Do a dinner event or two or something that I have that night, come home, hang out with my wife a little bit, answer emails, clean up the day, prep for the day ahead, because your day ahead always starts the night before, pass out, wake up, start all over again.
How many hours a day? Well, how many hours is that?
No, I mean, it depends on what you call work. Like my
Yeah.
whole day is work. Like,
Yeah.
so 5 a.m. to 11 p.m.
So
I
you
guess.
never turn it off.
Not really, no.
I'm with
But
you.
I also
You're in good
I'm
company
not
right
sitting
now.
in the office.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
I understand.
I'm all over the place. So that work-life balance for me is all the time because there's synergy to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I talk to my wife all day long. I FaceTime her all day. She comes to as many events with me as possible, and she's great for my business. Like,
Yeah.
people like me more because they know that she can handle me.
Yeah, and how important is it having somebody on the same page with you?
Super important. She knows what I'm going through,
Yeah.
you know, and she
What does she do?
understands. She's a lawyer.
Okay.
Yeah, so she understands and she gets it, and she can help me reason things through when I'm being irrational and crazy
Mm-hmm.
and sensitive, right? And she can say, let's take a step back and really think about this. So that's helpful. And so she's been great. She's been good for me personally and for business, obviously.
And is she pushing you to say, hey, let's go do some more, let's do bigger things?
Yeah, kind of. I think she would say she does. For me, she keeps me even keeled, you
Mm-hmm.
know, as much as I can be anyway.
The book, Sell It Like Serhant, you guys know how much I like sales, okay? Like you're not going to go any place without it. If you weren't selling real estate, what would you be selling?
Oh, I don't know. I would probably still be playing a clock in some off Broadway performance, you know, making $2 a week. It'd be great.
Dude, why didn't you do the hedge fund thing? Why didn't you go into your dad's space?
I didn't like it. I didn't, it wasn't for me, and I wasn't smart enough.
Yeah.
Like, it just wasn't my thing.
That's what I would do. When I come back, I'm coming back as either a hedge fund guy or
Yeah.
a rapper. One of the
Those
two.
guys are. I love that there's those options.
Maybe both.
Yeah, maybe
Maybe by that time I could do hedge fund and rap.
Yeah, the
you know?
portfolio manager rapper. That would be great.
Last piece of advice, Ryan, you would give anybody out there thinking about getting in real estate or sales or trying to take their life to the next level.
My best piece of advice would be just to do it, right? I would rather regret the things I did than the things I never tried. There's so many people I meet who got their license 5 years ago and still haven't done it, who haven't left the job that they hate, who are still working part-time somewhere else because they're too nervous. Like, you only have one life to live, and before you know it, we will be dead. So just get off your ass and do it.
Do you think? How do you know that's true? By the way,
Because it's
That you only live
10
once.
years ago, I mean, metaphysically, dude, I don't know. I think there is some sort of,
why do everybody say that? Everybody says this like they're so confident. You only live once. I'm like, how do you know that?
as far as I know, I only live once, and that's how I'm going to live my life now. If it comes out not to
Yeah.
be true,
Yeah.
I'll come and find you and be like, dude, this life, I'm taking it easy because I got another one coming. But as for right now, I'm living this one like it's my last.
See, I push harder because I think maybe I do come back.
Oh, as a rapper.
Or a hedge fund guy.
There you go. Or
You're
both.
awesome, dude.
Thanks for
Appreciate you
having
coming
me.
in, okay? Hey, guys, grab the book, okay? Now, if you're not in real estate, would the book still help you?
Yeah, it's, I did a show on Bravo as well that you can watch called Sell It Like Serhant, where I went in and I helped other salespeople who don't do real estate learn how to sell whatever they sell, from cabinets to hot tubs, insurance, body waxing memberships. And so the book is for how to sell anything. It's not just real estate.
Yeah. So, and this is really important for you guys out there. This guy's selling $31 million projects. If you can figure out how to sell 31 million, 80 million, 100 million, guarantee you can transition to a hot tub.
Yes.
Okay, and you
True.
should work on
And
selling
vice versa.
other things, not just the thing you're having trouble with, okay?
Yeah,
Thanks
of
a lot
course.
for being here, man. I know it's going to help a lot of people. Hey, get yourself in a position to sit in that chair right there. Dress like this dude. He's got all the bands going. He's looking New
from
York.
New York.
He's looking fresh. He's looking good, and he's creating success and sharing that great example. You need to do the same thing. Thank you for watching.